And here we are on the map Antigua Shipyard in the bottom right-hand corner. From the team Evil Geniuses, ladies and gentlemen, it is Puma. Ready to go. Facing off against in the top left-hand corner, his opponent from Team Startale, the Soul Man, Parting.
Yeah, and Parting's really good. Parting had gotten his rise from team leagues, and where specifically he was a PvT sniper for a while. So even though his PvZ has been well publicized lately because of his use of the Immortal Sentry all-ins, because of the success that he's had there, it cannot be understated enough that, or overstated enough, that his PvT is still ridiculously good. He had pioneered new and creative ways to put immense amount of pressure on Protoss or on Terran players at the beginning of the game, and I would not be surprised if something similar happened on this map.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I feel like Parting's PvT reminds me a little of MC. You know, MC, one of these players who can get so creative and at the same time can be so standard, and yet he's just like he's always in your face. He never really, he doesn't let you rest, get a moment's respite, unless he builds a pylon on his own Nexus position. So,
now, Puma, on the other hand, is another player that can be very tricky. He's just as liable to go 3 command centers against you as he is to go quick gas into some sort of a fast marauder timing. So Puma has a lot of flexibility, a lot at his disposal, and I honestly can't tell you what direction he'll go into without kind of seeing this game play out.
See here, I was just going to ask you, Kevin, what you do against a player like Parting, so I guess I'll just take it over and I'd say that I'd attack him. Oh man, I do not want to go up against Parting in late game. He's just so good when it comes to zoning and positioning. It's one of the reasons, actually, you know, we see these really strong Immortal Sentry all-in out of him, because it really breaks down to zoning and making sure that your units are where you want them to be and your opponent's units cannot get into an advantageous position. It's one of the reasons Parting's late game is so scary.
And we'll see what path he goes down in a second, as he's got 1 gas up, no second gas for now, so it looks like it's probably just going to be a 1-gate expand, unless he decides to do something tricky. Puma, on the other hand, looks like a 1 Rex gasless fast expand, but, you know, obviously doing this with the 2nd supply depot, so it's a little bit later. It's not quite as economic, but it is very, very safe, and there's a 2nd command center. But how does he follow this up? Do we see a quick 2 gas? Do we see 2 or 3 more barracks, and then double gas afterwards?
Why is Parting so good? He's just like, hey, on the side, I'm going to put this probe, and then I'm going to come in right after your command center should go down. And I'm going to turn around so quickly that you don't even see that I saw that you went for a command center. Mind games.
Yeah. Well, he is picked up on by the Marine, of course, but that probe did everything you could have asked it to. Starts to run back home, and now Parting, you know, already investing into his warp gate technology. Again, he being a little bit slower on his 2nd command structure too, as his Nexus is just going to drop down now. But he gets out that earlier Stalker. He can maybe try to walk up there and put on a little bit of pressure. Puma, of course, very standard stuff, going for a, actually now going for 3 additional barracks. So there is a time that you can hit where, you know, either with combat shields and 4 racks continuously spilling out units, you can really disrupt a Protoss player, or he could choose to be a bit more short-term with this and just go, go, go in a couple of minutes.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's going to throw down the bunker, but this is almost more for, well, you know, he has, I don't think he's seen the Nexus yet. He's going to see the Nexus, but he'll probably still keep the bunker. You know, you want to make sure you convince your opponent you're playing as standard as possible, but, I mean, for example, one of Startale's own players, Rainbow, has used this to great effect. Remember these racks, Marine timings, and has he still yet? He has not dropped down a refinery.
No, so this could be a Marine powering build, and it depends on what he's going to follow this up with, because we're going to need to see gas very, very soon, or he's just going to explicitly need to save up for a 3rd command center. Otherwise, he is going to find himself very economically behind if he can't put on any pressure. He'll be behind in tech. He's going to be behind in a lot of circumstances. But now, Parting has 4 gates. He's got a very quick timing setup for himself, too. No forward pylons that I can see yet, so it doesn't look like he wants to put on too much pressure for the time being.
Well, it looks like he does have a probe down there.
There we go. There's the pylon.
Now, this is really interesting, because Puma has a lot of units, but the Marines. And if Parting makes a lot of Stalkers with this, or gets great force fields, I mean, he can actually just kill Puma. I mean, yeah, Puma has a bunch of Marines. He's pushing out right now, though. The gateways aren't complete yet. Doesn't want to lose these sentries, and some force fields are going to go down. save them for a bit.
Yeah, forced to be used. Now, is Parting going to warp it around his opponent, or is he just going to defend back at home? He has enough Stalkers now, and of course, Stalkers against unupgraded Marines are very, very good. They're pretty cost-effective. They can chase down the units. They can sit at a little bit longer range. They have one additional range over Marines, so with good control, Parting's not going to lose a lot. He loses one Stalker, but he's kept the rest of his units intact.
4 gateways. There's not a better way that Parting could have followed up his opening build here. There really isn't. There's so many things he could have been vulnerable to, like Cloaked Banshee, for instance, but he realized in this situation that he was just going to be in a great spot, falling back. He didn't lose a single unit to this, Kevin, and he is just picking apart Puma's ability to do anything right now.
So you see Puma's putting up 4 gas right now, so he's going to reinvest back into his tech heavily, but this is precisely the moment when he can't.
Yep.
Because Parting was able to defend that attack up at the front, take no damage from it whatsoever, and then start moving across the map with his 4-gate pressure. Puma has to be able to build up some gas and start throwing down add-ons, but this is the moment he can't stop unit production.
More Zealots being warped in. Will we see more sentries as well? Parting did a great job hiding the number of warp gates that he had, never showing Puma any of his warp in cycles. So, you know, Puma never walked in and went, oh my god, you have 4 gateways. But now he's going to realize as the sentries come up the ramp, the force field's going to go down to section off these units and prevent repairs.
Okay, so he does get up all 3 of the bunkers, though, and that does work in Puma's favor. It's going to delay this attack for at least a little while, and he is able to pick off a couple of very expensive units here. The last bunker does go down, but just at the last second. Puma, thankfully for him, saving that in the nick of time. Had that been any later, those bunkers would not have been completed, and Parting would have actually just won the game.
Parting can't push up this ramp. I mean, he really realizes that. He can keep warping in units and try, but at that point, if you fail, you have lost essentially, because you're still sitting on 4 gateways. So we see he's teching up, and this is kind of cool because both players. I mean, for Parting it was straight gateways, for Puma it was straight barracks, and now we've got both players, starting to tech up, and they're going to be investing into other things. We're actually going to transition out of this game, Kev.
Now Puma didn't click on this, but he did see the Twilight Council was being created, so he doesn't know exactly what it is for now. And Parting's actually going to follow this up with a 7-gate. Forge is on the way, too.
This is awesome. Kevin, both these players, I mean, they weren't all-ins, but they were extremely aggressive plays. They went for these really powerhouse aggression moves. Both of them did it. It's kind of like, a 4-gate versus a 3-racks. Both players came to a stalemate, and then Parting just went, I'm going to do it again. And he made he's got the bigger economy. He's like, I'm going to drop a couple more gateways. I'm going to invest into these, the Twilight/Templar tech. But overall, it's going to be another big follow-up attack here from Parting.
That was a really good scan from Puma, though. He sees everything. He actually sees how far along this Templar Archives is in creating, so he sees the Twilight Council working. He should know exactly what's about to hit him. And how is he going to react now? He's making a lot of Marauders, adding those on there, so at least they can tank a little bit of damage from the charge lots. But I think, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be difficult for him to try and push across a map because he knows that there's going to be Archons there to greet him. But if he establishes dominance over the middle, at least he can safely take his 3rd.
Yeah, and I mean, he is getting, Puma's got his 3rd. Parting, it looks like, was a unit headed out over, no, that wasn't a probe, so, either way, he does want to make a move to take his 3rd here in the near future. We're already at 11.5 minutes, going on 12, and I mean, that's definitely, you really don't want to make it past the 12-minute mark if you can, but, Parting, he needs the splash, and he's almost there. Storm is 3/4 of the way done, and it doesn't look like Puma's going to go for any sort of a pre-storm timing here, so we could just have a crazy turn into a macro game here if Parting doesn't go for an attack with Storm's done.
Parting has cut workers. He stopped at 50, and he very well could just be going for a massive push in a couple of minutes. And Puma is finishing up a Ghost Academy, so I would imagine he's going to start adding those on very quickly. Because those are going to be critical to his army composition. Oh, but he's actually investing in Mobius Reactor first, so there's actually going to be a bit of time here before Ghosts hit the field and before they're able to do damage, that the Storms are going to be, frankly, extremely powerful.
So nice for Puma. You're right, the Storms will have the potential to be really, really dangerous because of the lack of, not only, I mean, are there any Ghosts on the field at all, in fact? No. Yeah, none. So with that, with Mobius Reactor still so far away from being done, but Puma did just see that his opponent, Parting, has not expanded, and that gives him a huge clue that this attack is on its way.
Yeah, but the Ghosts are only just now popping up, and they are going to be so late into this fight, especially if something happens here out in the middle. Don't know what those Marines were doing there, but they get caught off and they died.
If Puma gets caught here, he he loses. He, as you said, he needs these ghosts. He needs to continue to fall back. Storms will shred this army to pieces in seconds with only 2 medevacs.
Okay, well, there's the ghost now, and the medevac count is up to 4 with 2 more just about to pop up. So Puma's position is getting a little bit stronger. Parting already denies the 3rd base, though, and Puma's going to put all of his resources into defending up here at the front. And all these Templar grouped up, as long as an EMP doesn't hit, they're going to be fine, but the charge lots are actually just running forward, absorbing most of the shots. Storm hits all the bio units in the middle. That was about as good as he could have expected, and the Templar just have not been touched. So these storms have been great, and Puma's forces just getting overrun. Oh my God, look at the SEVs die. That was game 3 storms, and Parting wins.
Parting with incredibly good storms there. Where were the EMPs? I don't know, Kevin. I don't know where they were. I know if the ghosts were on the low ground, it would have been really nice if they were on the high ground. And now, Puma's hold positioning on the ramp because he just wants to buy time to type GG.
That's it. GG. Parting takes his 2nd game in a row. Immaculate play there from our Protoss player, especially after being set back. He had initially had the perfect response to the 4 racks that he was seeing out of his opponent. He had gotten there and made sure that, sorry, I have to move over here to the left. I apologize. We're getting used to the new studio and everything like that, so I'm used to sitting a little bit closer towards the middle.
I don't know if I'll ever get used to looking at you at eye level, though.
Yeah. It's funny, most people come up to me and they're like, I didn't realize you were so big. Because we have our chairs situated, of course, so that we're, relatively equal in size. But I'm 6'4", so I tend to be a little bit higher than most people.
I broke my back, man. I shrunk.
Yeah.
I broke it from playing too much StarCraft and hunched over the keyboard.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's all right. But at least you're masters. So that's what matters, right? It was all worth it. All like the long-term health, the health effects that you're suffering.
Man.
Yeah,
it's great.
Well,
I'm smiling.
Well, who's going to pop out next for Evil Geniuses? Looks like it's going to be another Terran player, the Spoon Terran himself. It's Thorzane.
All right, so Thorzane. He's real. Thorzane is just. I mean, I know I've said this to you before, but he's the player that, like, when I wanted to learn Terran, I studied Thorzane. This guy just has such crisp, clean builds, and well, they're sending him out here against Parting, and he could take this.
He very well could, especially if he's able to slow down the game a little bit and, make sure that he hits all of his ghosts the way he likes to, play that little bit longer brand of game. The other thing that Thorzane can do, though, and that he's actually quite adept at against Protoss players, is outright cheese. He's picked Cloud Kingdom as the next map. Cloud Kingdom is one of the very best ones. I'd say this and Daybreak at proxying barracks, because there's so many places that are outside of the range of Zelnaga towers. You have to explicitly scout for them. You can't just happen across those with common probe scouting times.
No, you're 100% right. And it's more than just like proxy plays. It's also like sneaking army positionings by. And you can there's so many clever tricks. I love like PvP on this map. Just like blows my mind. It's beautiful. It really is. So we're going to see if cheese hits the field for Thorzane, as you're saying, is definitely a possibility. Or if we're going to have a straight up game here. Either way, Parting has taken his team up 2-1 right now over EG. And this is going to be game number 4.
Yeah, we're going to run to a commercial break. We'll be right back after this.